Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, the audio version of our Facebook Live series, Art Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and I am so excited that you're here to catch the weekly replay of my laid-back yet very inspiring conversations with other full-time professional artists. The purpose of this series is to show aspiring artists like you that it is completely possible to make a great career out of this art thing. And if you ever want to join us live and have your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just hop over to facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll see you there. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time art business. I've been a professional artist for over 5 years with paintings in several different countries and a client list that includes high-profile companies such as Bass Pro, O'Reilly's, Duck Commander, and many, many more. So I figured out what it takes to build an art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. Go to advancedmember.com, that's advancedmember.com to learn more. This week's episode features body positivity advocate Anne-Claire Fleer. Anne is a body painting artist currently living in London, and I was so excited to get to talk to her about her newfound niche. In this episode, she walks us through the process of how she got to where she is, which is painting women who are often traveling through the UK. She gives them a one-of-a-kind experience by painting their naked body against an abstract backdrop. Not your average day, not your average profession. You can tell how excited Anne is when she talks about this passion project, and at one point she says, "I am determined to make this work." And that's exactly the attitude that will get you anything you want in life. And it's the reason why Anne is doing so well. So let me know what you think about this week's episode with Anne-Claire Fleer. If you could just kind of tell all of our Artist Academy members just a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and everything about the body painting. I'm super interested as well.
Absolutely. So maybe to go back a bit. So I used to work in finance. Is that the part that we're discussing now already? Like my entire story? Or
Yeah. Go for it.
Fantastic. So I used to work in finance. I studied business. And after a while, I just kind of burned out. Well, basically meant that I stayed at home for 8 months trying to figure out who I was and what I really liked when I was younger. So I used to play tennis on a high level. I got injured and fully focused myself on studying. And I didn't really think about what I liked when I was young. And having that time at home, these 8 months, I just literally fell back into love, in love with art. I was like, okay, what did I do when I was young? I painted all the time. I couldn't stop. My parents would literally have to make me stop. And I couldn't wait for Christmas to get new canvases. And so I was like, okay, let's do that. So I started drawing, and I was like, oh, this is too small for me. I want to go bigger. And I was like, and I want to make mistakes. I'm going to be okay with making mistakes. So I bought bigger canvases and bigger, and I couldn't stop anymore. It's like, okay, I really, really like this. So my boyfriend moved to London 5 or 6 years ago. And at that time I was like, well, I'm in between jobs. I'm not going to go back to my previous job in finance. What am I going to do? And then I thought, you know what? Art sounds really interesting, but moved to London, and then my ego played up. Because I got this job offer from a really good firm startup in the city, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try that. Sounds interesting. And 8 months in, I was like, why am I doing this? I promised myself to follow my energy, to do everything that kind of makes me happy, and I'm not happy in this place. And I had the flu every month, and I was like, okay, this is not okay. So it's like I was on another like holiday. Like the first time I quit my job or burned out, I was on a holiday in Bali, and this time I was skiing with friends. And I came back and I was like, this doesn't feel right, and I'm still really enjoying art. You know what? I'm young. I don't have any responsibilities. I'm living in freaking London. Why not give it a go? And so I basically quit my job a week later, and I was like, okay, now I'm a professional artist. And yeah, to give you a bit of background, I studied finance. I didn't study art. But I guess that all came down to the belief in myself.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started. And I mean, I had a bit of background in IT, more my boyfriend, not me. So we built a website together. It's just a simple website. It doesn't have to be super difficult, right? So we built a website, and it's like, okay, this is it. I'm launching it now. And that was 2.5 years ago. And from that moment onwards, things have really evolved, as you've seen, because you saw me from the period that I almost started, which is really exciting. So that moment that I really decided to go for art was the moment that I decided to literally from that moment onwards only follow my energy. I didn't want to do anything that drained my energy anymore. And obviously, like every job you do, there's always parts that you don't like. But it shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be tired at the end of your day. You should still, like, that's my belief. You should still be full of energy and happy and proud of what you achieved that day. So that's the promise that I made to myself. And now 2.5 years later, that's brought me to female empowerment through body painting.
Yes, tell me more about that. I want to know.
It's the best thing ever, really. I still have to pinch myself every single day and be like, can I literally like live like this? So it happened. So I started doing abstract art on canvases and selling that and doing quite a lot of commissions, and that went really well. But somehow I felt I wanted to experiment a bit more. And I did some courses on the side, abstract art courses, and I was like, oh, I want to do more. And back then, I didn't want to make the jump straight away. So what I did is I worked in a coffee shop, like 15 to 20 hours a week. Also, because London was still quite new to me, and I felt that I wanted to be part of a community. And I was just curious, like I'd never worked in a coffee shop. I was like, oh, I want to make latte art. That's art as well. So it was actually a good challenge, and I really liked it. And I got trained up. But funnily enough, they had art on the walls as well. So what they did, sorry for that. What they did is they gave me, like they gave me the first opportunity to have a show there. So I did an exhibition and sold some more. And that's also where I met a friend who later on became a friend. And she was like, shall we do an experiment? Like, she was a photographer, really good photographer. And I was like, sure, what are we going to do? And she's like, well, my sister is a nude model for live drawing in university. Why not do some body painting? I was like, sure, let's do it. So like a few days later on Sunday morning, they came over with croissants. They're French. And which was great. At like 8 a.m. So they came over and it's like, what are we actually going to do? And then there was one of my big paintings. So like, there's always art in my living room because my living room is my studio as well.
Okay.
And there's always art here. It's like, oh, that's a big painting. We could maybe just replicate that on the body. And so we did. And I must say, 5 hours later, like sometimes you just do something and you're like, this is it. I don't know if you've ever had that yourself.
I have, with the starting the Artist Academy and teaching people. I was like, this is it. Like, this is it. So I love when people say that.
Yes, no, absolutely. So that happened, and 5 hours in, I was like, okay, this is what I want to be doing. But the funny thing is, so my friend, she took the photographs, and I've always been doing photography on the side, but more for traveling. So I've traveled a lot, and somehow I saw her photos, and I mean, they were amazing because she's a really good photographer, but I would have done it differently myself, with a different eye, because everyone is different, right? So I saw the photos, and the next time, the funny thing is I started posting something on social media, and lots of my friends were like, hey, I want to give that a go. And I mean, back then I had no clue what I would be doing right now, but back then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. And I found someone who was actually, I went to a live drawing class and the model was like, hey, I want to be your model. It's like, okay, let's do it. And then my other friend, she couldn't make it, the photographer. And I was like, okay, so that means I have to do it myself. And then I even loved it more because I was like, now they're combined. Like my two passions are combined. This is amazing. Yeah. And I posted more on Instagram, and then people were like, I want to do this. I want to do this. And then that slowly, organically, basically started happening more and more. And I just felt it each time, even though it would be like super tired, it would be like so full of energy after a session that I just wanted to explore it. And then I realized that there was a kind of demand for it. And I was like, how can I commercialize that in a way? And then someone told me about Airbnb experiences. And I was like, hey, do you know it?
Kind of. I'm not super familiar.
Okay.
Can you explain it?
Yeah, of course. So Airbnb, the platform that rents out like rooms, like people rent out rooms. So they added a service that's called Airbnb experiences for local people to have, not only the people that come stay in your home, but everyone, like if they come to London, they would be able to do like a local cooking class or a local like photography course or anything like that. And there's like a range of experiences that you can choose from to make it more local and do exciting things while you're traveling. Mm-hmm. So I signed up and got accepted, and then it just started flowing in. And the funny thing is then I loved it even more because there were people from all over the world. And because I've traveled and lived abroad a lot, I was like, this is awesome. So they just came to my house, my place where I live with my boyfriend, and they would choose from like an artwork, or I would choose for them, and we would just go for it. And the more I did it, the more I realized that there was this whole transformational process that they went through. So the funny thing is that I started body painting as an experiment for myself, but it's ended up something like so much more bigger. Like I really saw them transform. It was mostly women that were traveling by themselves that just came and were a bit giggly because it's never models. It's like real women with all the shapes, all the curves, all the ages, everything. I've had ladies who are 70 plus. I've had ladies with like cancer, but also ladies who had overcome eating disorders or cancer. Anything like alopecia, and just women wanting to celebrate their bodies, and they just came, and they're a bit giggly. You sit down with them and you're like, okay, let's have a coffee, let's get to know each other, share our stories, ease them into it, and then be like, hey, now you can like body butter yourself in and we'll get started. And during that process they just become like looser and looser, like during the photography part of it, which is the last 45 minutes. They're just like kind of going crazy. They're just like, oh my God, I'm doing this. I'm like naked in front of a camera. And And once they take a shower afterwards, the magic is kind of gone because you create it together in that moment.
Yeah.
It's just super special. But what I realized is that most of these women, well, beforehand, so the main thing of it is empowerment, and empowerment in the sense that their face is not in the pictures. So they know they're in it, but no one else knows.
Okay.
And I'll let them sign a contract being like, okay, it's nudity, so I want it black and white just for your sake. Like, I'm not going to share anything with your face in it. And then the moment I send them the photos, once I've edited them, they get 20 to 40 photographs digitally. They post it instantly. So they like beforehand, they feel really secure, like signing the contract, and afterwards just post it. It's like, they're so proud of it. And yeah, that just makes me like, sometimes makes me cry. I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Yes, that is so amazing. So I've seen your work, and so you do you do this with mostly all of them? You have a painting in the background, and you're basically, they stand in front of it, and you basically kind of camouflage them into your painting, kind of? Okay.
Correct. Yeah. And it's not like the perfect camouflage so that they blend in just standing stiff in front of the painting, but it's really like camouflaging with the same colors and movements, making them blend in, but not like they can still move around. So it's like there's flexibility to go around it and to do their own poses because that makes it so natural to them as well.
Yes,
and
amazing.
Then I do the photography afterwards, and then I do the editing so that everything blends in and they get like close-ups of their body in front of the artwork.
Awesome. So it's mostly women alone who come to this? Do people like, do couples come do it?
Yes,
Like, do
I've done
guys do
couples
it too?
before and guys as well, but what I realized that, as I said, like the transformational empowerment that's in
Yeah.
there, that's different with guys, in the sense that they're more used to being naked in front of
Yeah.
people, even
Yeah.
like in the gym, showers, and especially upper body, because a lot of women book like a half body upper body session, which like to us women it's quite
Yeah.
odd to be fully naked, but for guys it
Yes.
isn't, obviously. So for them to do it with their girlfriend is really special. But to me, the energy that I create together, like the safe space basically that I create together
Yeah.
with these women, means so much that that's where my focus is.
Yes. Amazing. So in Europe, you guys have some, and I mean, way more than in the United States, you guys have some like nude beaches, right? So I think
Correct.
nudity is a bit more than in the United States, just a little bit. But with women too, I totally agree. It's like I am not one to be nude anywhere. My friend though, she like so we went over to Ibiza and they had a
Yeah.
topless beach and she was like, "Yep," and I'm like, okay, okay, this is so strange. Like I was like, I don't know about this, but I did it.
Yeah, and but I
So,
must say, like, there's such a big part. Like, most of the women that I paint are actually American,
oh,
and that's
okay.
it's really interesting because I guess that's also because lots of American women come to Europe, so it's an experience that they're kind of looking for something unique that they can't do at home.
Yes.
And I do often hear, way more often than the European women in that sense, not to generalize, but they say
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I've never really changed in front of anyone." Like for them, it's real new, and like the European women wouldn't necessarily say that as quickly, but
Yeah.
they often have different things that they deal with. Like there's a, I mean, it's the same in the US, obviously, but
Yeah.
like the pressure of society on them, on like feeling safe and comfortable on the beach, just in your bikini, not even naked, but just in your bikini is such a big thing.
Yes.
And especially in the summer. So that's also why recently I organized, organized a Be Your Own Beachbody event
Okay.
where 15
Yeah.
women came together to feel more empowered on the beach and just be proud of their bodies. So they came together. And the funny thing is, like, I told them, like, be in like old bikinis, and I'm gonna paint a bikini as well. Like the backdrop was a abstract beach, and I'm gonna paint a bikini and your bodies. So they stripped down, and then one lady came to me and she was like, I'm here to get out of my comfort zone. Would you mind if I just strip down completely? And I was like, sure, because that happens a lot. Like I do that quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because when they're here anyways, like they don't care because it's one-on-one in my studio. But
Yeah.
there was like 14 other women. And I was like, yeah, sure, go for it. And so I started painting the feet because I only had a few hours. And I was like, oh my God, I have to hurry. And
Yeah.
so I started looking around. And then suddenly I looked up and like 80% of the women just went like completely naked. They just empowered each other to do that. And I was like, that's amazing. So yeah, those
Wow.
things happen.
That's so cool. That's so cool that you can be so cool with it too. You're like, this isn't like, and nudity is so natural. Like, why
Yeah.
are we wanting to hide it all the time?
Yes.
I don't know. I have a long ways to go on that, but I love that you are just heading this up and just being that because it's so needed right now. And
Yeah.
it's such a good time. And how perfect of a time for you too to get into this thing and just be
Yeah.
in it. I love it. So,
Absolutely.
um,
And the funny thing is, you said, like, I have a long way to go. And the funny thing is, I have a long way to go as well. And
oh,
these women actually inspire me as well. So I've always, like, when I was 8 years old, I was already, like, looking at my tummy. I'd be like, Mom, I
yeah.
want to see a dietitian, which is, like, the weirdest thing to say when you're 8 years old.
Hmm.
But somehow that was just in me, and I don't know whether it's society or like the way you grow up, I don't know, and I don't want to blame anyone, but it's there, like there's so many women dealing with this, and still nowadays, like I was in Ibiza last week, you might have seen that, but I
Oh,
was
okay.
like, I wouldn't strip off easily, like,
Yeah.
but like painting women and being surrounded by naked women and like doing that myself as well, it really helps me myself, and I don't know, like it's just really empowering for myself as well.
That's amazing. Yes, and just to add to your story, I remember because my mom reminded me a couple times a while ago. I remember coming home when I was in fourth grade, and telling my mom, like, I can't eat dinner because I'm on a diet because I have to look good in my bikini for our end of the year field trip. And she was
Yeah.
like hell you are.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I was serious. Like I like
Yeah,
didn't eat very much lunch. I did that, and how crazy is that? Fourth grade. Like
yeah.
what?
I know, I
But
know.
yeah,
And that's like
yeah.
that's the beautiful part as well, because I hear all these stories, and the
Hmm.
women are telling me, and sometimes they're not even aware, so they come here because it intrigues them in a way, and they don't know why. And then they
Yeah.
start opening up, and suddenly they realize that there's a few things that they indeed have been dealing with. Um, or like when we had the session with the 15 women, one woman was like before, and she's like, I'm not sure what to share, because I always give them the space to open up and like just tell the other women where they're coming from and why they're here. And suddenly it just came to her and she said something and she just started crying and she didn't even know what was in her, you know? So it's almost like a therapy session in a way as well. But
Yes.
beautiful, because they can immediately like cry, like, I don't know, expand their comfort zones, or yeah, push the comfort zones in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a therapy session for sure. Ben says he loves your work, and Linda
Ah,
says, I love how you are empowering women. So you've got some fans in here.
thank you. It's so good to
Yes.
hear.
Okay, so let's get to some of the questions. So you kind of explained what took you from hobby to professional artist, which was
Yeah.
basically quitting your job, which is awesome. What makes up your typical workday? Like how many hours do you spend painting? Are you with a client like most days, or what's your work schedule like?
My schedule is a mess.
Okay, yeah.
I'm all over the place, and I'm big, like just today, like someone just called me and be like, "Hey, I can help get." Okay, um, am I gonna jump into that? Yeah. So basically, I'm flying to LA next week, and I'm organizing a fundraiser, and I'm gonna raise $200,000 to paint 365 women in
Wow.
365 days, which
Oh,
is
I
going to be
love goal.
an
I love that
amazing
goal.
challenge.
Yes, it
And it's
is.
keeping me so busy. But
Yeah.
like someone came, she's like, I can help you with some Facebook ads, because I'm still, so everything that I thought was going to be difficult went kind of easy, like finding all the sponsors, because everyone just loved what I'm trying to do. So they're all like, no, we'll sponsor you, we'll help you. So super sweet.
Yeah.
So I got like a venue, a beer, and cake, because I'm all about like, you can have your cake and eat it too, that kind of thing. And so I asked like a cake sponsor, and they are like bringing cake for like, I don't know, a wedding almost. And so all these things are amazing, but the tickets, because I'm not there, it's very hard to actually tell people about it.
Yeah.
So right now, all I'm doing, what I've been doing for the past 3 weeks, is just contacting people I know in LA, and so that's mostly how my day looks like. And then because it's holiday time now, it's a bit quieter. But usually, I have like 3 or 4 women a week that I paint, and that takes me like 7 hours to do a session.
Wow.
So it's like 3 hours of welcoming them, and like that they're physically here in my studio. And then obviously they take a shower. So afterwards I have to clean the bath with all the paint in there. And then it's like 3 hours of editing the photos
Okay,
and
okay.
sending it to them. And which I love the entire process. So that's amazing. So that's a few days a week, like 3 to 4. And I would love that to be like every single day. Absolutely. Like that is
Yes.
the main goal for me. Like I would like to empower all women a day and just change our world's perception of body image that way.
I love
Um,
how you get the photos back so quickly, like that the same day, right? I that's
I'll try
oh
to.
okay, yeah.
Not always, but I'll try
Right.
to.
That's
Yeah.
huge. Like that is like 'cause
Yeah.
most photographers with any shoot, it's like okay, two weeks to a month, and I'm like, oh, the excitement's right now, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
even
Exactly.
if it's like within the week, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I usually say like within 2 weeks, just if something
Okay.
happens or there's like a project coming, then I'll just wait a bit longer. But usually I'm so
Yes.
excited because I just took the photographs and like, oh my God, they're amazing. They're amazing. And then I'll just like want to edit them.
Hmm.
So that's a certain type of day. And then other days it's indeed painting, because the backdrops need to be painted as well.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm like always a bit in between, but I felt because I'm painting women so much that I'm now painting less on canvas, and I want to change the backdrops all the time. So there's a bit of a difficulty there. I'm like, oh, I should really plan like one day a week that I'm maybe painting.
Okay.
But then there's the struggle that you probably know as well of being a creative, like you want to paint when you're inspired. It's always that
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
difficulty. So
For
2 days
sure.
ago I was painting. I've got a rooftop here that I paint on, and like I was painting in the middle of the night and I didn't even know what I painted. It was just like expressing, and then something really nice came out of it. I was like, oh, that's great. So that sometimes happens. So that's the day. And then obviously I think something that a lot of people don't realize is there goes so much admin into being an artist, because you're a business, which means you're sending emails, you're contacting people, like marketing, you're everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So I
for
guess
sure.
that's how a day looked like a combination of so many things, a lot of variety, at least, to say the least.
Yes. It's fun because it's just like it's not the same thing every day, but at the same time it's like it's kind of exhausting. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. You kind of already talked us through your painting process, basically. Is there anything you want to add to that, or we basically have done that one?
Yeah, I guess we've done that one. Quick
Okay.
one. I create the backdrop, paint the women in the same style, and then do the photographing. And yeah.
Awesome. That's so unique too. I just want to add, like, that's not like anybody we've had on this Facebook on Art Talk Tuesday before, and I was like, I'm so excited to get to talk about this. It's so different.
Amazing.
What's the one thing you don't like to paint without?
Oh, that's such a good. I love ink, Indian ink.
Oh, okay.
There's something about the flow of Indian ink that I just absolutely love.
Okay, so like I know like so Indian ink, is that like how they do like the abstract? You just kind of put the ink down and then you play with it, or do you let it do?
No, sometimes I use a pipette. Do you know what a pipette is?
I don't think so.
It's like a thingy, like a plastic thingy, and then you just put it in the ink, and then you it fills up like a balloon, and then it makes like shapes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's just move on to the next one. Are there any art lessons you've learned the hard way?
There are, but I guess that's part of every business.
Yeah.
So every day is a learning process, and I find this a really difficult one. I've been thinking about this for a long time as well, but I find it really difficult because every day is like failure, but every day is also success. So every single day I'll just try new things. And I guess the hard way for me was that I thought that everything was already like black or white. It's like, oh, I'm going to approach this way and that's going to work out. But it's never going to work out because you need to try. Like your audience is different, or you're changing as well. Like things evolve, as I said before. And so if I say something right now, it doesn't mean that I feel exactly the same in like 9 months, because so much can change. Yeah. So I'll just keep being flexible to myself. And even if I commit to something, like for this short period of time, I was like, I'm going to do a mailing list because that's good for my art business. And then after a while, I realized like it doesn't give me energy. So I'm not going to be ashamed that it's not the thing for me.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've learned, I guess, the hard way, as in like it's cost me so much energy to think about these things. Like, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Am I going to commit to it? But in the end, just do it. And if you don't feel like it and you explain it to people, that's all you need. As long as you can explain it to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and if something isn't really working, usually a lot of people can tell. If you don't like to do something, they can tell, you know. So like either an email list or Instagram. Some people hate Instagram, and it's like you can tell when you post. You're like just putting it up. Okay, awesome. Do you have a favorite past project?
Oh yeah. So basically, the Be Your Own Beachbody I thought was amazing because all these women came together, and they came from quite far, and they were from all different countries, and just having them together, they created such an amazing energy in the room that I couldn't have done myself. So I thought that was brilliant. And then I've done live body painting multiple times, but it was one time in a hotel where I was like on the top floor with glass in front of me. So I was painting behind the glass, and the people downstairs, they just walked by and suddenly were like, hey, what's up there? And I was painting this woman, and I thought that was so much fun.
Yes, definitely. So how did you look? Just kind of going back to the body fading, be your own beach body. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
How did you find all these women?
So most of these women are actually following me on Instagram,
Okay.
and they've been wanting to. So one body paint session cost like £250, which is like $300.
Yeah.
And that's like for the full body, and they get digital photographs, and you can go up in packages if
Yeah.
you want like a physical artwork. Maybe I have one here.
Yeah.
Let's see if it, like something like this, which is on glass.
Oh, very
So it gives
cool.
you, and it's like ready to hang, and so like people can choose that as well. But there's a few people that just can't afford it but really want a session, and have been following me for a long time. And this I made really, again, through like sponsors, very affordable, and they were so grateful to actually being able to be part of something like that in a different way. So yeah, that's how most of these women actually come to like sessions
Yeah.
or events.
Instagram. That's awesome.
Instagram.
Instagram is amazing. I love it.
I know.
Awesome.
Oh,
And
and
sponsor.
Facebook groups. There's like a
Okay.
few really good Facebook groups as well, like in London with people coming from abroad to London, and like London New Girl, something like that. It's called. Like a few of these Facebook groups really work their magic as well, because it's all women, again, looking for new experiences in their life.
Amazing. Oh, Facebook groups. You have my like marketing brain going now. I'm like, maybe I should reach out to Facebook groups. Okay.
Well,
Awesome.
you've got an amazing Facebook group here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, it's for sure. It's definitely growing. What are your future art plans and goals? Like, what's happening? What's your goal for this? What's do you know?
Well, what I said, like painting one woman a day would be the absolute dream, and building an entire team around it. So I've got my first virtual assistant who's helping me a few hours a week, which
Yeah.
is exciting.
Yes.
And she's helping me to reach out to organizations to see if they are willing to sponsor me for for the $200,000
Yeah.
that it will cost to paint like the 365 women. So for me, the main focus now is really, it's the project is called hashtag I choose body confidence. And I just keep on going at it. I just want it so badly. I just wanted to start now, and like, because it's all for women that can't afford it but really would need a session. So I've had ladies who've reached out and said like, I've been burned all my life and I just want to forget about my scars for a few hours. There's been women who's reached out and said like, I literally have only a few weeks left to live. Can we do a session for like a legacy for my husband and children? And I want to help all of these women. And the more emails I get and the more I'm in like press, I realize that like there should be something for me to help them. So I want to do that. Like I obviously still believe that, and this sounds a bit weird, but like if you don't pay for it, you don't pay attention. So if you want to make the best out of something, like I absolutely believe that women who pay really get the best out of it. But there's a
Mm-hmm.
few women in a special situation that can't afford it, and I want to help them. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my main focus now. And once I've got that year going, I want to build a platform also called I Choose Body Confidence for women, like a Facebook group kind of thing, but for them to get tips and tools and everything to empower themselves and to create more like body confidence and self-worth, because I think that's the real way to make your life more meaningful, because if you really believe in yourself, you can also give more to other people.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. I love everything you're doing.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah. So wait, so how did you find your virtual assistant? Because I have one as well, and she
Oh, you
lives
do?
in yeah, she lives in Venezuela, and she edits a lot of this stuff, and I love it. So
Yeah.
how did you find yours?
Funnily enough, like I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I
Yeah.
never really took action on it. I was like, oh, maybe it's not yet for me. And then I was nominated for like a prize with a lifestyle magazine.
Yeah.
I went to the Netherlands for this weekend, and I came back and I was like, and I'm done with it. I just want this virtual assistant. Now it's time for the next step. And I started browsing on Instagram, and suddenly I don't know how, but I arrived, like I found this Instagram account, and she said basically she's Dutch. It's like I just started like as a VA. I've been a PA for more than 10 years. I've got so much experience, blah blah blah, and I really liked what she did. And I think I'm her second client in that sense. So I just contacted her in that moment. I was like, inspired action. I found her accidentally. I decided in this moment that I wanted it even before I found her. So I sent her a message and she was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Maybe we can like set up a call tomorrow because I love what you do. And we did. And like 2 days later, she was my VA, which is amazing.
So cool. It's funny how things just kind of fall into place as they should.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Awesome. So last question on here. Is there any advice that you would give to artists who want to make art their full-time career but just don't know where to start?
Yes, just start.
Just start, yeah.
Yeah, just start. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. But make sure that to make like the real leap, like jump, go for it. Because you can't do something that's like 50%. Especially in the artwork, there's so much competition, but do something that gives you energy, because once you start browsing around on like Instagram, which is amazing, but it also makes you very insecure sometimes because there's so much out there. So don't go around too much and think like, oh, this artist is doing really well, so I should do something similar, because really what makes you unique is yourself. So stay true to what gives you energy and follow that, so that you have freedom in what you do, because only then I believe you can like be successful.
Definitely. Yeah, and just hearing you talk about your women's positivity, you said, I want it so bad, and I'm like, those are the people that get it, you know? If you want something so bad, like you can tell in everything you do, and I think that's such a key, and I love it. I love what you're doing.
Well, and it's the same for you, right?
Thanks. Yeah, we're both living what we want to do, and it's awesome. Okay, I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for chatting with us today. I really loved getting to meet you, and I'm sure I'll see you and be commenting on all your Instagram stuff. And it's so fun now, because I love now knowing exactly what you're doing. It's like I see it, and I'm like, I know, but I don't know, and now I know, and so now I can know more of when you're posting. I'm like, oh, she's got this going, you know. So I'm excited just to follow you.
Funny thing is, now my marketing mind goes and be like, oh, so what wasn't clear before? What should I have like explained better in my post, you know?
No, I think it's sometimes I'll look at photos and I'll read like the first caption, but I won't read like all the captions all the time, and so you miss a lot. And that also just reminds me that, hey, people don't read my captions too, you know. Sometimes they just see photos. But Linda says thank you so much, and
thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Speak soon. Have a good evening or day.
Bye.
This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time art business. I've been a professional artist for over 5 years, with paintings in several different countries and a client list that includes high-profile companies such as Bass Pro, O'Reilly's, Duck Commander, and many, many more. So I figured out what it takes to build an art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. Go to advancedmember.com, that's advancedmember.com to learn more. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Also, if you ever want to join us live and have your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just hop on over to facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'll see you next week.